As I've mentioned in the past, I've kept a diary for 10 years now, more or less, 10 years. And the beauty of keeping a diary is that it enables me to go back sometimes when I'm just trying to remember when something happened or exactly how it happened. And about a year or two ago, I was going back through the diary that I kept from a particular year in my life. This is from a few years ago now. I was going back through this diary, and it's just funny when you're living in the moment, you can't always see things for what they really are. It's not until a bit of time has passed and you've moved on, so to speak, and you've stepped back a bit, that then you remember certain events in your life, and you can look at it on a macro level, and suddenly a lot more becomes clear to you. And that's what happened to me when I went back and I looked at this through this old journal that I kept. And the thing that stood out to me was that if I hadn't changed what I was doing, I was probably a couple of months away from just burning out completely. And yeah, I was so grateful that, first of all, that I stopped doing things the way that I was doing them at the time, obviously, but also that I had kept a journal so that I could go back, and this is some years afterwards, I could go back and have a look and just and see what was actually going on in my life. And it became so much clearer to me at that point in time. And yeah, ever since then, I've always been conscious of not pushing myself too hard, because I'm aware of the way that burnout can affect your thinking and your ability to work at your best. And it's such a dangerous thing, burnout, because it can creep up on you without you even knowing it. Now, there's the more obvious signs, and if you go on Google, you can have a look at any amount of articles that give you the usual symptoms of burnout. But what I wanted just to do today was to quickly take you through some of the lesser known signs of burnout. These are the more subtle things, and if they're left unchecked at the very least, then they could turn into something much bigger, and then they could have a bigger effect on you further down the path and be more destructive to not just your work but your personal life if you don't just take a little bit of time to check them and to make sure that they're not affecting your life negatively. And there's 7 lesser known signs of burnout that you should keep an eye out for. The first one is that the days start running into one another. Now, there's certain times of the year, especially around the festive season, Christmas, New Year, where typically you're not working, and so you don't have the usual duties, the usual things that you'd be doing on a routine basis. And it's typical at that time of year to forget what day of the week it is. And look, that's perfectly normal. You're in this strange no man's land between, say, a week or two out from Christmas and midway through January, maybe even late January, depending on your profession, depending on what line of work that you're in. And it's normal around that period of time for the days to all run into one another because you don't have that usual routine. It's when it happens any other time of the year, when it's, for lack of a better word, business as usual. It's when it starts to happen then, and you're forgetting what day of the week it is, and the days just run into one another. That's when there's a cause for concern, because what that could mean is that you're so preoccupied with everything else that's going on that you're losing track of time and things are becoming a blur. And what that means is that you're so overloaded with other tasks, other responsibilities, with whatever it is that you're engrossed in, that you're losing that track of time itself. And that can be, for lack of a better word, an amber alert that you could be in danger of burning out if you don't just take a step back and ask yourself why it is that the days are all beginning to run into one another. Another sign is that you're forgetting things. You're forgetting things that you wouldn't normally forget. And going back to this period in my life that I mentioned, that I had been journaling, that was something that stood out to me, is that normally I always remember where I've parked the car, or if I'm with somebody and they're driving, I can remember where they parked the car. But during this period in my life, there were 2 occasions within just a couple of months of each other where I completely forgot where I had left my car. The first time I was at this big shopping centre, and I was just doing the weekly grocery shop, and then I went back to the car park, and the best that I knew was that I had left my car in this particular car park. But aside from that, I didn't have a clue whereabouts in that car park I had left my car. And I walked around and around, Couldn't find it. I walked all through that car park and I couldn't find it. And I'd gone out solo, so it wasn't like there was somebody with me where I could ask where we'd left the car and see if they could help. So I was pretty much stranded. I ended up stranded at this shopping mall for over 2 hours, and it got to a point where I just gave up and sat down on one of those couches in one of the pedestrian walkways and didn't know what to do next. Obviously, eventually I did find my car, but it was just more through luck than anything else. But yeah, complete blank about that. The second time I was in the city, and I went out that night. I left my car somewhere, and I came back the following morning, and it was gone. It had vanished. And my first thought was that my car must have been towed. So I called the towing companies and asked if they had my car. And I gave them the registration, but yeah, they said they didn't have my car at all. And I'd called the major towing companies, and still nothing. And yeah, I couldn't work out what had happened. I was beginning to wonder if it had been stolen. I mean, it was a more modern car, so it had central locking and alarm and all that sort of stuff. And this was in the middle of a big city. It wasn't like we're out in the suburbs or something. And I was just about to call back the first towing company that I'd called, just to get them to double check that they didn't have my car in the impound, when just randomly walking along the street, I discovered my car. The problem is that I'd parked it a block away from where I thought that I'd parked it. So again, I just completely blanked on where I'd left my car. And this is something that I otherwise remember all the time. So if you find yourself, you're starting to forget things that you're normally great at remembering, that could again be a sign that you're at risk of overload. You've just got so much other stuff going on in your mind on a daily basis that you're losing track with these smaller things. And again, that's it. It doesn't necessarily mean that you are burning out, but it's a warning sign to keep an eye out for. If that starts happening, just take a step back and take a look at everything else that's going on with your life and just go, is this just random, or is this a sign of something bigger? The third sign is that old routines are vanishing. So if you've got your regular routines and you find that suddenly you just don't have time for them anymore, that could just be a temporary thing, because sometimes there's a particular project that you're working on or a course that you're doing, and you can see the end of that. So yeah, sometimes you have to put certain things aside for a season, for a particular time. But if for no particular reason at all, you just find that the normal routines that you had are all just vanishing because you don't have the time for them, then again, that's an Amber Alert. So take a look at that as well, because that could mean that you're getting less and less time to do the things that you need to do, whether it's practical things or it's just time to take a step back and recharge as well. That's another sign. Following on from that, when you do get your downtime, when you do get your leisure time, the things that you do in your leisure time, are you starting to feel this need to like milk every last drop from them and do them to excess? Because that could, at least on a subconscious level, be your brain going, look, we've got this time here, get everything that you can out of it while we can, because you realize that before too long you're going to be back in the grind. And so you feel this need to overcompensate for the precious time that you do get just to do your own thing and to relax. And whatever those habits are, you know what I'm talking about. If you're starting to feel this need to do them to the max, to turn everything up to 11, then that could again be a sign that you're at risk of burning out, because whatever it is that you normally do, whatever your profession is, whatever your daily grind is, you're doing that to such a level, and you're doing that in such big blocks that when you get those little gaps where you have that time to yourself and you can let your hair down, literally or metaphorically, there's this little voice going, we've got to turn this up, we've got to do this to the nth degree to compensate for everything else. And again, that's an Amber Alert there as well. The fifth sign is that you're making uncharacteristic mistakes. And this kind of ties in with when you're forgetting things. If you're starting to make uncharacteristic mistakes that you wouldn't normally make, that's again a sign that you're becoming overloaded and that you've got so much other stuff to think about that it's pushing out the stuff that you could normally do on autopilot. That's one to watch out for as well. I'd call this next one a red alert. This is a big sign that you could be at risk of overload and at risk of burning out, is if you find that you've got no time for time off. You've got no time to, say, take a holiday, even just take a couple of days off, let alone a week off. If you just look at your at your schedule and go, no, I've got no time for any of this, and you can't see an end in sight, that's a red alert there that your time has just been taken away from you. And whatever you do, you have to then organize to take a step back and plan that time, because if you don't check that, then nothing's going to change. You're just going to keep going day after day after day, week after week, and then suddenly it's been months and then maybe even years. And that can have really bad consequences for you long term. And you're going to pay the price there. So that's a major red flag. If you have no time for time off, or you don't think you've got any time whatsoever for time off, and again, it's not a temporary thing, a project or a course or something that you're doing intensively for a limited period of time, that's a red flag too. And the seventh sign, and this is also a red flag, is that everything that you do, even the things that you would normally enjoy, they start to feel like an effort. They start to feel like a task. On some level, it becomes a hassle. It just becomes a hassle to do things that are normally not an issue for you. And even things that you would otherwise enjoy, if they all start to feel like a hassle, that's again a sign that you're becoming overloaded. You're becoming mentally, if not physically, worn down. And that's another red flag that you're leading towards burnout. Now, why do I talk so seriously about this? Well, having come close in the past, I know that that feeling that need to push on, feeling that sense that you can't take a step back, and that the whole world is going to come tumbling down if you even take just a moment out of your regular grind. If you keep pushing on with that, that's going to have disastrous consequences, not just in your business, but in your personal life as well. And if left unchecked, you could end up wasting, weeks, even months, just trying to put yourself back together at the end of it. And what's it going to cost you in terms of your productivity, in terms of your relationships? Like, there's too much at stake. And there's so many different ways that you can push yourself beyond what you should be pushing yourself. And the effects that has, again, on your mental health, on your physical health, on your sense of well-being, your spiritual health as well. It's not worth it. It's not worth the risk. What you've got to do is you've got to find a way to organize your professional time with your personal time. Find if there's anything you can delegate, if there's anything you can cut back on, but just pay attention to those potential signs of burnout. And look, maybe there's a couple of things I've mentioned today, even just one thing where you're like, oh, that sounds like me, or that sounds like somebody that you know. And look, there's every chance it's nothing. There's every chance that you take a step back and go, oh no, you know what, this is just for a limited period of time, or this little thing's happening. But it pays just to at least take a moment and just ask yourself if you're leading towards burnout, because it's just too costly. And the silly thing is that despite trying to work harder and get more done, in the long term, it actually costs you. And you can waste even, like I said, months of productivity when you finally tip the scales and you burn out completely. So yeah, look, I'm really grateful that I saw enough of the signs and I stepped right back before I went too far, but others haven't been so fortunate. And it really was just a case of luck for me, I think. And yeah, ever since then, I've been through some pretty busy periods as well. There's a whole lot of stuff to manage, but I'm always conscious of not getting too overloaded with that. And when you can find that sweet spot, when you can find that point where you're getting a lot of stuff done and you're very productive, not just in what you're doing, but in how you're thinking, how you're strategizing, but you're also making that time for yourself and you're getting enough time to recharge, that is where you find that sweet spot. So look, I wanted to share that today from my own personal experience, and I hope that helps you. If you haven't subscribed to this channel already, then go ahead and do that so you don't miss videos like this coming up in future, because I've got a lot more to share when it comes to your well-being, as well as obviously stuff to do with copywriting and stuff to do with marketing. But this side of your business, your professional life, is also very important too. So yeah, subscribe to this channel if you haven't done that already. Like this video as well and share it with your friends and anybody that you think it will help. Otherwise, that's it from me today, but I will talk to you again very soon.